Good day, I am Dr. Reginald Farnsworth, Senior Veterinary Officer for the Office of Agricultural Integrity on the fictional yet diplomatically significant Caribbean island of Saint Anglais, a British overseas territory where the sun shines brightly and bureaucratic protocol shines brighter still. I arrived on the island with my family on a Friday, bright-eyed, cautiously optimistic, and perhaps, in retrospect, a little too enthusiastic for what awaited me. My assignment was a 5-year post. The mission was clear: raise the standard of livestock farming on Saint Anglais, a task deemed too delicate or too inconvenient for the local veterinary officers, whose inaction had, over the years, ripened into quiet complicity. The idea was that I, as an outsider, might be less easily compromised. Monday morning arrived. I put on a fresh shirt, reported to the Office of Agricultural Integrity, and exchanged the usual pleasantries with my new colleagues, most of whom looked at me like a man who'd shown up to a funeral wearing party balloons. My first assignment: inspect a pig farm in the heart of a residential area that had, according to the official complaint log, been driving the neighbours mad with the smell and sound of swine-related chaos. A student was assigned to accompany me, ostensibly to help with translation and directions, but likely also to see if the new British vet could handle the smell of Saint Anglais' agricultural underbelly. Her name was Amélie, a 20-year-old agriculture student who, in my personal and entirely unrequested opinion, was not dressed for fieldwork. But one picks one's battles. Amélie guided me to the address, a row of terraced townhouses with small basement garages. I stared. She nodded. I asked if she was quite sure. She said yes. Then, as if to confirm the absurdity, I heard the unmistakable squeal of pigs, and smelled them. We donned disposable overalls and boot covers, the smell intensifying with every step. At that moment, a man in a sweat-stained shirt approached from down the road. "Monsieur Emmanuel Martin," he announced. I introduced myself. He looked me up and down and replied in heavily accented English, "You're not in London anymore, Dr. Anglais." I took offence, naturally. Firstly, I am not from London. Secondly, why would anyone keep pigs in London? And thirdly, Dr. Anglais, I do have a name. Mr. Martin led us down to the basement garage. There was a battered side door. It was dark. "Could you put the light on?" I asked. "Hasn't worked in years," he said casually. I began to explain that minimum lux levels, the legal requirement for illumination, are quite clearly set out in the legislation when I felt something brush past my boot. Then another. Then several rats. I froze. It was around that same moment that Amélie began to scream. A rat had apparently leapt from a beam and found itself wedged, and I do apologise for the imagery, in Amélie's cleavage. She was not, as I've mentioned, dressed for containment. Mr. Martin, quite unfazed, produced a torch from his back pocket, grabbed the rat by the tail, and dispatched it against the doorframe with a sickening thwack. "Only another 1,000 to go," I muttered, mostly to myself. Things did not improve. The pens were cramped, ceilings low, lighting non-existent. Pigs were fed by having grain thrown on top of a slurry of urine and feces on the floor. The stench was biblical. Every corner of the place broke some regulation, possibly several. I photographed everything: lighting, flooring, needles, pen sizes, all recorded with clinical precision. I informed Mr. Martin that, based on what I had seen, I would be taking formal steps to close the farm. He chuckled. "I'd like to see you try," he said. As we stepped back into the daylight, my phone rang. It was a clerk from the governor's office. "Just a heads up," he said, tone clipped. "Martin's brother-in-law used to be the governor." Of course he was. I asked Amélie to guide me to the governor's office. I requested to speak with the clerk who had phoned me. "Make it quick," he said, leading me into a cramped meeting room with plastic chairs and one dead ceiling fan. I showed him the photos.
"This is what you're protecting," I said. "Would you be happy feeding this pork to your children?" He paused. "No," he admitted. It took months of back and forth. Official letters, unofficial conversations, and all the while the pigs were still being sent to slaughter, their meat ending up in the island's butcher shops. But eventually the farm was shut down. Neighbours celebrated. Rats likely migrated. And I had survived my first test. But make no mistake, that was not the worst farm I would visit. I am Dr. Reginald Farnsworth. I inspect livestock. I was sent to this island to make a difference, and by God, or perhaps by paperwork, I intend to do just that. God save the King.